I don't know too much about exploitation films. I really haven't seen that many of them, but I do know they all have a few things in common, including a poster and a title that often have very little to do with the film itself. And that is the case with today's film. This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. That's my closet, full of all the stuff that I love. And today, is it possible an exploitation film can also have a social conscience? Let's check it out. Today's film is Girl on a Chain Gang from 1966, 95 minutes long, beautiful black and white. This is about three young people that are driving through this small southern town. They're driving a convertible, so they're pretty easy to notice. That was a bad choice. And they're immediately pulled over by these two extremely racist cops. The cops bring them back to the sheriff's station, and let's just say things go downhill from there rapidly. I'm trying to avoid any major spoilers. This is a low-budget film. It took about 17 days to shoot it. Cost about $30,000 to make it. They didn't shoot it in the South. They shot in Long Island, New York. The audio quality, I don't think is a fault of the disc. I think it's the film itself. Typical of cheap, low-budget films. Sometimes there's no audio at all, like when they're driving through these dirt roads. You don't hear anything. Or when the characters are in a room together, it's very echoey sounding when they're speaking. Or sometimes it looks like the audio, the dialogue was looped in later. But none of that was too distracting because you know what you're getting when you watch a low-budget film, right? Visually, it's pretty straightforward, but I was surprised there were a few sequences where the lighting was interesting looking, the composition was interesting looking, so that was refreshing. The acting is adequate. Again, pretty straightforward. All the southern people in here are wild exaggerations, very cartoonish, and very one-dimensional and stereotypical. But you know, almost everybody in this film is one-dimensional, really. Of particular note is the guy who plays the sheriff. His name in the film is Sonny Lou. He's played by this guy named William Watson, who actually had a decent career in films and TVs. But this guy is always, he's got some kind of oral fixation or something. He's always got something going in his mouth. It's either the bottle of booze from his desk drawer in the sheriff's station, or it's a big cigar he's chomping on constantly, or he's eating a piece of fruit that's dribbling down his face. He's spitting out fruit seeds. He's spitting out bits of tobacco. It's a rather hilarious performance, actually. So if this is an exploitation film, what is being exploited? Well, first of all, women. There are two female characters in here. One is one of the strangers driving through town. The other is the town tramp that everybody's having sex with. Women are seen as either, you know, tramps or sluts, or they're going to be tramps or sluts. And all the men, the southern men in here, are constantly hitting on them and preying on them. So yeah, in this film, women are sex objects. Surprise, it's an exploitation film. So what would you expect, right? Now, the other thing being exploited possibly is an incident that happened just a year earlier in Mississippi, where three civil rights workers driving through town, three men, two white guys, one black guy, were killed by some racist guys in the South and the Klan, basically. And if you've seen Mississippi Burning, that whole incident was dramatized in that film. So, you know, possibly they're using that as a springboard for the plot of this film. Now, the three young people driving through town in this film, you have a white guy, a black guy, and a woman. And we find out a little bit later on that they're actually going through the country to register voters. So similar to these civil rights workers that were really killed in Mississippi. So are they making a social statement with this film? Are they just exploiting what happened, sort of hoping audience members will come in because this incident is fresh in their mind that really happened in Mississippi? It's hard to tell. Maybe it's both. Who knows? I will say that at one point, the woman, who's one of the strangers driving through town, she lashes out at all these southern guys that are sort of railroading her in this kangaroo court. And she says, you know, the world is moving forward and you're all standing still. So there's your social statement there. It's 1966. You know, so much turbulence in America at that time, including the civil rights efforts. There is a major what the F moment in this film that I have to talk about. And that is when our threesome is finally released from the sheriff's station near the beginning of the film. They bribe the cops and so on and so forth. Finally, they're let go. And if it was me, I would be out of that town as soon as possible. What do? They stop at a local bar to have a couple of drinks. That does not go well, and things again spiral down from there. In fact, even the racist sheriff says, that was a bad idea to stop at a bar and have a few drinks. So it's a ridiculous moment. Now, the title, Girl on a Chain Gang, well, the woman who was driving through town with the other two guys, she is, like I said, convicted in this kangaroo court, and it's really not giving anything away. I'll tell you why in a minute. And she is sent to a work farm. You'd think she'd be sent to a female work farm, but no, she's sent to a work farm. That's about a dozen black guys on the chain gang working outside, and she's inside, chained up, and then the boss, who's got the whip in his hand, comes in and talks to her, and her blouse is open and stuff, and he says to her, if you're real nice to me, then, maybe I won't put you on the chain gang. So again, he's another guy just preying on her. All these guys are preying on her throughout the film. And this cover, you never see that really happen in the film either. So, a little misleading, I would say. So, it's making it sound like this. I didn't really like this, but I actually did. I mean, if you're easily offended by, how they're treating the women in here and these southern racist guys who are constantly sticking their guns in these guys' faces and stuff, then you might not appreciate this. I knew what I was getting into. For what it is, I thought it was very entertaining and enjoyable. And so I'm going to actually give it 3.5 chains out of 5. Now, what's on this disc? This is another disc by The Film Detective. I've talked about them before. I like their stuff. I think they're taking like public domain titles and kind of sprucing them up, but that's okay because I think they're making interesting choices in the films they're putting out. So what you have on here is an audio commentary, which I did not listen to, by a woman. You have a 15-minute little documentary about Jerry Gross. He's the director-producer, his background in exploitation films and X-rated films. And then you have a booklet, which is pretty well written, but it's about 15 pages long, 16 pages long, but it's too much of a summary of what we just watched. But the other thing that I mentioned earlier, so it's really not a spoiler, is they give you this when you walk into the theater to see the film, and this lets you be on the jury to convict the young lady who was convicted in this kangaroo court. I don't even remember what she's convicted for. It's probably like being rude to a policeman or something like that. So that's kind of a nice little gimmicky touch. Otherwise, the visual quality is good. There are a couple of glitches here and there, but it's fine. And I got this, there was a company called MVD online, and they were selling a bunch of Film Detective discs. So I bought like 6 of them or so, and they were almost half price from what they usually go for. They were like $12 or something like that. So if you want to see this, I think the easiest way to see this would be on YouTube. I just checked, it's on there. I don't know what kind of condition it's in. Probably not very good, but if you really want to watch it, it's there. Unless you want to buy it, or of course your local library, which I doubt would have it. So, Girl on the Chain Gang, I had fun with it for what it is. So feel free to leave a comment or suggestion down below here. Maybe some exploitation film you think I should check out next, or what you think of films like this. Leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends and neighbors. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.